Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, former Prime Minister Keith Rowley, or as I call him, Emperor Thanos Rowley, and Stuart Young, aka Zammy Young, accusing the government of using the investigation into the financing of the People's National Movement's Balisier House headquarters to divert public attention from what they say are more pressing national issues, including violent crime, the foreign exchange shortage, economic challenges, Point Lisa's plant closures, grain debt, and Trinidad and Tobago's exclusion from discussions on Venezuela gas. Now, the thing about it is, maybe it's being used to an extent, but come on, man, let's be fair. UNC has been highlighting this issue about the Balisier temple for many years now. So it's not like that itself is a distraction. Do I believe that there's no politics or political influence behind this investigation? I honestly don't believe that either from on the UNC side. I do believe it is politically motivated. I don't believe that the TTPS is as independent as they claim to be. I just don't. They were not independent under the PNM and they are not independent under the UNC. They enjoy being used by a government, by any political party to abuse their power and also to persecute the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They are meant the Trinidad and Tobago police are supposed to protect and serve, but they don't protect and serve anyone except themselves, any police service, and of course the politicians whoever are in government at a particular point in time. Now, of course, they were basically controlled by the PNM more than anyone else in the past, and that's why I call them a PNM law enforcement agency. But it's quite clear more and more that they can be very well used by the UNC as well. It is very, very clear now. So I don't think that this is just independently being investigated by the TTPS either. Could it also benefit the UNC when it pertains to other issues? Yes, it will be like a distraction to an extent. I don't think that's the main agenda right there. I think that was something that they wanted to address since they were in opposition and now they're getting the opportunity to do so. A lot of these issues being raised by the PNM here as well are things that were caused by the PNM, not the UNC. All these different, the economy, people, was already on the verge of completely collapsing before UNC entered office. Have they done a really good job of reviving the economy? No, and I've said that clearly recently. You cannot stimulate an economy by increasing taxes and fees and fines and so forth. So I think they are failing when it pertains to that. They're getting a lot more investors or people that are interested in investing in Trinidad and Tobago. But sadly, while they're getting investors, a lot of other companies are leaving as well. And why? Because you went and you raised the price of natural gas. So you're spinning top in mud. You are being counterproductive at this point in time. People say, what is really wrong with this man? Whose side are you really on? I am on the side of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We the people, the true government of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's why, of course, I will sound at times as though I'm defending the PNM, which I'm not. I will never vote PNM. And then at times I will sound as though I'm defending the UNC because if they're doing right, I will commend them for that as well. But that doesn't mean I support the UNC again either. I voted UNC my entire adult life. But since I've seen Kamala transforming it via Roger Alexander into a police state, I will not be supporting UNC in 2030. I will try my best to give Michaela Pandey or somebody else my vote. As a political fallout continued on Sunday, PNM chairman Marvin Gonzalez used the controversy to renew the party's call for campaign finance reform, challenging the government to support legislation in parliament. Now, I support that. I don't know why he's saying it. I don't know if that is a distraction, but he's right. We need campaign finance reform here in Trinidad and Tobago. It's kind of funny hearing it from PNM. They had 9.5 years to do so. Rowley, in a statement posted on social media, described the controversy surrounding Balisier House, or as I call it, Balisier Temple. That's the temple where all the PNM fanatics go to worship their god, the Balisier gods. So he said, Rowley in a statement posted on social media described the controversy surrounding Balisier House as distraction on steroids. I don't believe so, Rowley. I think you're wrong about this one. Arguing that the government was deliberately steering public attention away from what he described as its failures in office. They are using a lot of things as distractions. Maybe, as I said, they might benefit from this as well. But I don't think that, I think this was something that they had an issue with, as I said before, from since in opposition, and now they're getting the opportunity to investigate it. But of course, they themselves are lying by saying they're not involved in this investigation. I'm not falling for that either. The party said there was nothing improper, unlawful, or secretive about the financing of the Balisier House. Now that's funny. It may be true, but to us, majority of the population, including PNM supporters, that is funny. Or the fundraising activities undertaken over many years. It is also announced it had assembled a legal team to challenge the developers. Now, don't get me wrong. Who knows? Maybe, just maybe, they might be able to prove that they raised these funds via cake sales and raffle tickets. But who? Hundreds of millions of dollars from, if I'm not mistaken, at least about $100 and something million to build that temple. I call it a temple because, of course, as I said before, PNM people worship their party as their god, their country, and their race. So that is why they use the Balisier temple as their place of worship, right? Where they gather together to give praise and honor and glory to Eric Williams and all those that came after him. The response followed reports that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service had obtained a preliminary unexplained wealth order as part of an investigation into the multi-million-dollar redevelopment of the party's headquarters. I think it was, I can't remember who, but it was some individual just a few years ago was talking about, I think about a little more than a decade ago, the PNM was almost declaring themselves bankrupt, or and something about the Balisier House and so forth. And yet within these 9.5 years, they were able to recover from that financial crisis in a time when the country itself was financially strained and everyone was being told to hold, strain, and tighten belts and sacrifice and no longer have to really eat macaroni pie and ham often. Yet you all were able to generate this amount of funds via raffle tickets and cake sales. People could not even afford normal food, and all you all were able to acquire these millions of dollars via this type of fundraising. How? To me, that sounds very strange. It sounds very strange. According to court documents, police are seeking to compel the PNM and its trustees to explain the source of funding for the project as part of an investigation into whether the party's wealth exceeds its lawfully obtained income. So you see, so it seems as though it has a limit on how much you can really generate as a political institution, party or whatsoever. But besides that, I can't see cake sales and some long ongoing raffle tickets generating that kind of funds. People struggle to be able to make $100 and something thousand, and whether it's to be able to raise funds for operation and things like that, and you all got millions of dollars. Come now, man. An affidavit filed by Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police Ramdath Philip alleges investigators suspect the redevelopment may have been financed in part through corrupt arrangements involving government contractors who received favorable treatment in the award of state contracts while the PNM was in office between 2015 and 2025. Now, the thing about it is, people, I don't trust the TTPS. I don't know if this investigation will go anywhere. I don't know if, at the end of the day, this whole thing could end up just being a whole political stunt. Maybe it is. All I know for a fact is that these were issues that were being raised by the UNC for many years now. So it's not like it's just an actual distraction alone. On the PNM side, I really don't understand and believe how you could allocate that type of funding through fundraising. You're talking about millions upon millions of dollars in a time when our entire country was going through a financial crisis. I can't see that being logical or possible either. So let's see where things go. If it is that there's evidence to prove, once again, because watch it up, They didn't call no PDO to hold anybody for these cases, do it. Nothing. They investigated, which is what they should have done when it pertains to the Hadiths or anybody else. Conduct an investigation first, gather your evidence. Once you have evidence that could be able to lead to charges, then you charge people. That's what they should have done with the Hadiths. I don't believe the Hadiths committed any crime in the first place when it pertains to conspiring to murder anyone. When it pertains to this Balisier temple issue, maybe, just maybe, there's evidence of corruption, and investigate it. And once you're able to gather this and this evidence together, take it to the DPP and let's see who could end up being arrested and charged. I would love for justice to prevail, but at this point in time, I have no confidence in the TTPS and very little in the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, July 13, 2026. On Monday, July 13, 2026, Trinidad and Tobago will experience occasionally cloudy conditions with intermittent rain, light to moderate showers, and a 60% chance of isolated thunderstorms. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service forecasts a maximum daytime temperature of 31 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius and overnight lows dropping to 23 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. Heavy downpours may trigger street or flash flooding, and winds can become sudden and gusty near active showers or thunderstorms. A moderate concentration of Saharan dust will remain present in the atmosphere, creating hazy conditions. Individuals sensitive to air quality changes should take necessary health precautions. Seas will remain moderate with open water waves hitting heights of 1.5 to 2.0 meters, reducing to under 1.0 meter but turning choppy in sheltered areas during rainfall. Spring tides are also currently in effect.
Regional news now. Guyana's estimated population has surpassed the 1 million mark for the first time, reflecting the country's continued demographic growth and underscoring the need for sustained investment in housing, healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. I do believe a lot of people, a lot of Guyanese that had migrated to other countries in the past decades, various decades, are returning home, and that's a sign of what? Prosperity and development. According to the Bureau of Statistics, Guyana's estimated population reached 1,025,334 by the end of 2025, up from 956,044 at the end of 2024. Yeah, I was telling my friends and relatives that up to probably last year, that or even earlier this year, that there's less than 1 million people in Guyana, but now it has finally crossed the million mark. The figures were released on Friday as part of the country's observance of World Population Day 2026. In his World Population Day message, Chief Statistician Errol Lacruz said the latest estimates highlight Guyana's evolving demographic landscape and reinforce the importance of reliable population data in guiding national development. The Bureau noted that Guyana has experienced steady population growth over the past decade. Irfan Ali has been in office for more than 5 years now. He won a consecutive term in office just recently. So it was great before he was in office, of course, but I believe most of it would have started to really escalate. This thing would have been increasing rapidly since the country began to stabilize and now rapidly grow, economically and even infrastructure-wise and so forth. The 2022 population and housing census recorded a 17.63% increase over the 2012 census, with a population of 878,674. The latest estimates also point to the country's youthful population, which is very important. At the end of 2025, 61% of Guyana's population was below the age of 35. Wow! While 42% was under the age of 25. The largest age group for both males and females was those between 25 and 29 years old. A young population, that's good. According to the Bureau, the demographic profile presents significant opportunities to expand the workforce, strengthen innovation, and accelerate economic and social development. However, It also increases demand for essential services, including housing, healthcare, education, transportation, and employment. Well, they voted the right party into office to get this done. Thus far, he hasn't failed. He's a human and he will fail in many ways at times. But thus far, he continues to serve his people well, even though he won a second term in office. And if it was not any campaign propaganda like what we ended up getting from the UNC here in Trinidad and Tobago. International news now. The DC medical examiner says preliminary findings show Senator Lindsey Graham suffered an aortic dissection due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. The preliminary findings provide the first official details about the South Carolina senator's cause of death as officials continue the investigation. But it was so sudden, boy. Extremely sudden. There are a few things that I wonder. I wonder if he took that 2021 toxic shot and what really happened during these past few days, because Iran did in fact threaten his life. It's quite strange what is going on. And even though he would have had existing health conditions, something ain't adding up here, people. Something ain't adding up here. That certificate will be pending until, listen to this, all the toxicology and microscopic testings are finalized. And at that point, the death certificate will be updated to reflect the cause of death and appropriately classify the manner of death, his statement said. So, of course, even Fox News jumped to conclusions yesterday and said, oh, you see, people are talking about set up conspiracy theories and it was a heart attack. But like you all didn't read the rest of the information where it states clearly that this is just preliminary results. And who knows? Because at the end of the day, we all know that a lot of different substances, a lot of different things can be used in order to bring on a heart attack. So don't jump to any conclusions yet, my dear Fox News. Yesterday, U.S. Central Command announced that it launched another wave of strikes against Iran. This is good news, but I'm not getting carried away. In the past, I said, yippee! And I said, Trump finished the job. But I've seen it over and over again. Trump strikes a few times, and then he thinks he's playing cards or something, you know? He throws a Trump card and thinks, okay, yeah. And then he will go back and say, let's go back to talking again. And he says he isn't, and then he talks anyhow. And that's what gives me the feeling as though this isn't where he's going to fit. He has no intention of finishing the job anytime soon. He's just trying to intimidate them into submission. And you cannot intimidate radical jihadist terrorists who want to destroy Israel and America in order to usher in the coming of their Messiah. You cannot use intimidation. You have to remove them by force. The commander-in-chief has directed, which is Trump, of course, the strikes to hold Iranian forces accountable, CENTCOM said. You see, he's just looking at accountable. He has no intention. What I heard, he has no intentions of actually crushing that demonic regime in Iran anytime soon. I did hear on online that they are considering taking over Kag Island, and that is one of the main sources of revenue with oil revenue for Iran. That could be a very significant strategic play. But leaving the terrorists in government, you're going to even endanger the lives of the American soldiers that you want to place in Kag Island. You think they wouldn't strike Kag Island, causing a lot of people to end up dying, just like I think a few Americans died recently in Kuwait or whatsoever on American base. Trump continued to play deadly games that cost the lives of people in Iran, the innocent Iranian citizens who are being murdered, massacred by their government leaders, and also the lives of Americans as well in this war, because you just don't want to finish the job. You continue with this obsession of wanting to be considered the peacemaker of the world, when in fact, that is something that the Antichrist will accomplish for 7 years. Well, actually, basically 3.5 years, because after that, you break the peace treaty with Israel. Anyhow, you take it. But nevertheless, that is why I continue to say that you appear to have the spirit of the Antichrist upon you. Are you the Antichrist himself? Are you the man of sin, Trump? I don't know. I can't say that. But at the end of the day, you do display a lot of his qualities.
Bible quote of the day. Psalm 127 1-4. The vanity of human effort and the blessing of children. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth.
Folks, on a very rainy day, and most likely I hear any rainfall in the background today because it's very, very heavy today. That brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. That's how we can continue to build this channel to reach a wider population throughout the entire world. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all, of course, in Jesus' name.